Good morning, everybody. I thank you for joining us today. Today is Wednesday, and today's date is the 22nd of April. I was reminded to remind you that today, of course, is Earth Day, and so it is a good reminder to us to take care of good Mother Earth because it's certainly God's special gift. Kevin told me that, is it your sister? Your sister's birthday is today? Oh, that's good. I hope she gets a nice card from you. That's good. But today is also a memorable day for me. On this day in 1962, I got my high school ring. I was a junior at West Catholic, and they presented our rings to us today in 1962. I still have my high school ring for God and Country, West Catholic. It doesn't fit on my fingers anymore, just a little finger. But guess how much the ring was? $35. And it's 14 karat gold. I'm telling you, what a prize that is. I hope when I die, the executor of my estate gets a good price for that ring. But anyhow, to the point to the point of discussion. One of the more popular televangelists today is a guy by the name of Bishop Robert Barron. He runs this organization called Word of Fire. He had been the seminary rector of the Mundelein Seminary out in Chicago, Illinois. Cardinal George was the one that encouraged him to go into television and radio as a medium. And so following the path of Fulton Sheen, he started this organization called Word of Fire. You can check it out. Over the course of about 7 or 8 years, Bishop Barron has published an awful lot of things. He did a great series in 2012 on Catholicism. Took the whole sacramental and the magisterium and the tradition of the church and put the whole thing on tape. It's an interesting series. Again, you can look at that on YouTube. But about in 2016, he came out with this series in what he called Pivotal Players. Now, I'd showed some of these in the fall over here at St. Thomas. On Tuesday nights, we were doing those for a couple of weeks. It had to do with Thomas Aquinas and Michelangelo and some other interesting people that had affected the church. Pivotal players are people that have just had an impact on our life and who demonstrated the grace of God and through something that they did. Not necessarily they drew a whole lot of attention to it, but they were just kind of special. So for the next couple of days, I want to talk to you about a few pivotal players. One that's particular to me for today is Moses. Tomorrow, I'm going to give you an experience of a person that I met in the course of my life, and the same thing with the following day that we get together. But today, we're going to look at Moses. And I think of all the people in the scriptures, no one had a deeper and perhaps maybe a more special relationship with God than the person of Moses. Do you ever hear that expression, if this is the way you treat your friends, I'd hate to see how you treat your enemies? You all heard that. That's in the book of Exodus. That's Moses' line. It's copyrighted, but he lets people use it. What was so special about Moses? I don't know, but God really took a liking to him. He was the one that God had chosen to lead the Jews out of captivity and bondage from the pangs of the Pharaoh in Egypt to the Promised Land. He was also the one that was called the lawgiver in the story of the Transfiguration. He was one of the guys that appeared next to Jesus in the story of the Transfiguration, Moses and Elijah. The Bible tells us that oftentimes when Moses would go into conversation with God, he would leave the people down the bottom of the hill, head up to the high mountain, and he would sometimes be up there for 30, 40 days, not worried about eating or drinking or doing anything else, taking a bath. What was going on there? He was just so raptured in the presence of God. He just didn't want to leave that. That's what heaven, I think it is. I think the beatific vision is like that. But it says so often that when Moses came off the mountain that people were afraid of him because his appearance changed. And it said that he looked like God. He just radiated the presence of God. And so many times people would say to him, you really got to cover your face up because we're not worthy to behold you. Moses had that kind of a relationship with God. It was just unique and special. Your journey in life and my journey in life is supposed to be like his. Moses radiated the presence of God in what he said, what he did, and how he acted. It doesn't mean to say that from time to time he didn't lose his cool and get angry. But he was steadfast. He just knew the direction of his life, and he knew that his life was only going to be complete when his life was a living reflection of God. And so for the time that they were in the desert, Moses was the guy. He was really the one that kind of reflected God's presence. He was not only the spokesman of God, he was the one that imaged God. The unfortunate part about Moses' story is that God didn't allow him to go into the promised land. It was his brother Aaron that took him in. Why was that? I always wondered, that didn't seem right. You did this whole thing. Because it just wasn't part of God's plan. Moses' job was to be the deliverer, to set them free and to establish the law. And so what we have from the person of Moses is the law. That was the sign of the covenant. The 10 Commandments. Boy, would not the world be a better place if people just lived the commandments of God each and every day? 10 little simple rules. 10 little simple rules that can change the way we live and certainly change the way in which the world lives if the whole world encompasses that. So for my part today, I give my thumbs up to Moses. He's my first and foremost pivotal player. May he intercede before the grace of the goodness of God to help your life and my life. It's a reflection of the Lord whose kingdom we seek and whose kingdom we all hope to serve. Okay, folks, hang in there. Just a commercial. 2 things. First of all, Maria Gabor has asked that you continue with the casseroles for St. Francis Inn. We did those on Sunday. I think we already got about 65 that we sent down. That's about a little less than half of what we normally do. So the freezer in the church is always open. So if you pick up a tray, make the casserole, bring it down, put it in the freezer, that would really help those folks on the street down there in Kensington. The other thing is about the supporting of the parish as you continue to do that to the best of your ability. If you have not signed up for a parish giving or online giving, I encourage you to try to do that and just help the parish get through this. I hope you're not getting too bored yet, and you're locked up, but certainly pray for God's grace. Certainly this thing will soon be over for us all. We'll look for you tomorrow. Bless you all.